Welcome back to Pop Machete. I'm here with Australian artist Gossling. Thank you for joining us on the show.
Thanks for having me.
And I've got your album here, Harvest of Gold, which came out last year.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, because you're kind of new to our New Zealand audiences and stuff.
Yeah, well, I am Australian.
You said that like kind of pensively. That's fine.
Yeah.
We like Australians.
Yeah, Melbourne girl. This is my debut album.
Yeah, and you released 3 EPs before this as well.
Yeah, I've made 3 EPs, so it took me a while to get to make an album.
So when you make an album like that, is it something that you kind of gear up towards with the 3 EPs? Do you kind of find your sound, or how did that work for you?
Yeah, I think it took me a while to get to an album because I was kind of developing and maturing as an artist. I wanted to make sure I had the right sound before attempting a full album. It was kind of intimidating to think to do 10 or 12 songs.
Yeah. To put it all together as kind of one piece.
And make a cohesive thing, yeah. So it was much easier to think, 5 or 6 tracks, I can do that.
And you've been touring it around. You were at South by Southwest just a couple of weeks ago, you said?
Yeah, we played South by Southwest, and we played in LA and some shows in London. And yeah, it's been awesome. I haven't, 12 months ago, I never even thought about going overseas and playing shows, and now I've been over there.
And how would you describe your sound? Like, where have you kind of come from? What are your influences? Because you've got quite a unique voice as well, and it's kind of a folk electronic kind of mixture, isn't it?
Yeah. I think it's mostly been folk. So my biggest influence when I first started songwriting was Damien Rice.
Yeah.
He's an Irish singer-songwriter.
It's a good name.
Yeah. I found his record and fell in love, and then I thought, wow, I want to be a singer-songwriter too and write music, or attempt to write music like that.
Yeah.
And so that's where I've come from, but my music this album definitely has a lot more electronic influences. And
it's almost got I see you're a fan of Metronomy and things like that. It's got that kind of crossover as well.
Yeah. I was listening to a bit of Licky Lee and Goldfrapp before I was making this record, and I think they're artists that do really well at combining the acoustic elements with an electronic element and making it all work together. And yeah, so I got to make pretty well-developed demos, so I had a pretty good idea before I went to the studio. And then the producer, John Castle, who's worked with people like Megan Washington and the Bamboos and Vance Joy, he really helped me develop those ideas and make them into record-worthy sounds.
Yeah, and what's it like working with a producer when you've kind of got, you've got your babies and then they're kind of critiquing it and then moving it around?
Yeah, well, John's really, as well as being a producer, he was kind of a therapist.
Okay.
Because it was slightly a bit of a different direction for me, and when I was in the studio, I was a bit unsure about it and a bit nervous about it because I didn't want to, alienate anyone that had been a fan of my stuff before with the more folky stuff, but I wanted to progress. So, one day I'd go in, I'd be like, what have I done? This is not good.
It's not me.
This is not me. And then the next day I'd go in, this is sick, this is the best thing I've ever made. So, yeah, as a producer, you kind of have to be a producer/therapist, I think.
Yeah. And did you study psychology as well before you did music, I read?
Yeah, I did just a year of psychology.
So was that an interesting thing? Does that come into your lyrics as well? They're quite...
I'm not sure. I think for the same reason I got into psychology was the same reason with kind of songwriting. I'm fascinated by other people.
Is it your human emotion, or is it your kind of analysis of?
It's usually 98% of my songs are about other people.
Yeah.
I find it really hard to write about myself.
So what does the future hold for you? Obviously you've got this album out here, and we're going to throw to your video shortly as well.
Yeah.
What are your plans for 2014?
We're doing a bit of a tour supporting Vance Joy.
Oh, cool. Across Australia? And
just domestically in Australia. And then there's plans that haven't been announced or anything, so I can't really say much of it.
So if we want to hear more from you, go to facebook.com/Gossling Music.
Yes,
yep.
Please.
And we're going to play this video now, Harvest of Gold, which is an awesome track, by the way. So,
Thank you.
I only saw the video just a little bit ago. How did that come to be? Because it's quite an interesting video.
Yeah.
Quite quirky, yeah.
It is. It's pretty kooky. I've been a fan of the director Jackson Dickey for a while.
Cool.
And he's done clips for other Aussie bands like Alpine and Owl Eyes.
Yeah.
And he's got this beautiful pastel aesthetic to a lot of his stuff.
Yeah, it's a kind of washed out look.
Yeah. And he came up with the kooky idea of this mysterious groundskeeper.
Yeah, the ballerina kind of.
Yes.
Quite an amazing talent, I have to say.
Yes, he's
quite
great.
striking.
Yeah, and I think, I I think it divides people, and you either love it or you hate it for the same reason.
Yeah.
And it's kooky and it's eccentric.
That's kind of what art usually does best, though, eh? Is controversy.
Yeah, I think so.
Cool. Well, thanks for joining us, and
Thanks for
hopefully
having
you
me.
come and tour New Zealand when you're kind of on your way around the world.
I love that. Yeah.